God sleeps in the stone, dreams in the plant, stirs in the animal, and awakens in man. Ibn Arabi. When Ibn Arabi spoke these words, he wasn't describing nature. He was describing the journey of existence itself. The stone, the plant, the animal, and man. These are not just stages of creation, but mirrors of awakening. This is the story of God revealing himself through the layers of being. The story of the hidden becoming visible, of the silent beginning to speak. My friend, think about it for a moment. The stone, motionless and cold, still holds within it the secret of existence. It is asleep, yes, but even in its sleep, it carries the essence of the divine. Every atom of that stone whispers, "I am here." And when the plant appears, life begins to dream. The roots stretch down into the same earth, but now something is moving toward the sun, reaching for light. In the animal, the divine begins to stir. Hunger, desire, fear, love, and instinct all awaken. And finally, in man, the journey reaches consciousness. God opens his eyes within us and says, "I am." This is the awakening Ibn Arabi spoke of, not a simple metaphor, but a vision of reality. To him, existence was a single breath of God. Everything that is, was, and will be is contained in that breath. Nothing exists outside of it. When God sleeps in the stone, he is not absent. When he dreams in the plant, he is not distracted. When he stirs in the animal, he is not restless. And when he awakens in man, he does not begin, he simply remembers. You see, awakening is remembrance. It is the moment when the mirror realizes it has always been reflecting the sun. The man who awakens does not become something new, he simply discovers what he has always been. The Quran says, "We shall show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves, until it becomes clear to them that this is the truth." Surah Fusilat 41:53. Every layer of creation is one of those signs. The stone, the plant, the animal, and man, all of them are verses written in the language of being. And the one who reads them with the eyes of the heart begins to see that nothing is separate. The whole cosmos is one being, one life, one breath, one consciousness, unfolding in infinite forms. Ibn Arabi called this wahdat al-wujud, the unity of being. He saw that God is not somewhere outside of creation, but within it, as its essence, its life, its awareness. Just as the ocean does not stand apart from its waves, God does not stand apart from the world. Every wave is a form of the ocean, and every being is a form of the divine. When man awakens, he realizes this truth. He sees that what he calls me is not separate from what he calls God. The distance was only a dream. The journey of awakening is the ending of that dream, the remembrance that there was never any separation to begin with. But my friend, this realization is not easy. The stone does not awaken easily. It must pass through fire and pressure to transform. The plant must break through the darkness of the soil to reach the light. The animal must fight for life, and man must walk through the valley of his own forgetfulness. Awakening is not a moment of comfort. It is a burning. It is the fire that consumes all illusions, all false identities, all claims of ownership and pride. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "He who knows himself knows his Lord." Hadith. But to truly know yourself is to watch everything you are not fall away. The ego, the masks, the desires, they all begin to crumble. What remains is not you as you think you are, but the one who sees through your eyes, hears through your ears, and breathes through your breath. That is where God awakens. I once read that Ibn Arabi, as a young man in Seville, had a vision in which he met all the prophets in a single gathering. He saw Jesus, Moses, and Muhammad, peace be upon them all, standing together in light. And they spoke to him of unity, of the oneness of truth behind all forms. From that moment, he understood that God manifests differently in each creation, each soul, each faith, yet remains eternally one. "My heart," he later wrote, "has become capable of every form. It is a pasture for gazelles, a monastery for monks, a temple for idols, and the Kaaba for the pilgrim." In this way, Ibn Arabi saw the divine not only awakening in man, but awakening as man. You, my friend, are not separate from that awakening. You are its vessel. Sometimes you may feel distant from the divine, as if God is hidden and silent. But even that distance is part of his dream. The stone does not know it sleeps. The plant does not know it dreams. The animal does not know it stirs. Only man can say, "I seek." And that seeking is the first sign of awakening. When the heart begins to seek truth, the divine has already begun to open his eyes within you. You think it is you searching for God, but it is God searching for himself through you. This is the mystery of love, that the seeker and the sought are one. Rumi said, "The minute I heard my first love story, I started looking for you, not knowing how blind that was." Lovers don't finally meet somewhere, they're in each other all along. The lover does not find God, he is found by God. He is not walking toward the light, he is being walked by the light. In modern life, we often forget this sacred rhythm. We live surrounded by noise, by motion, by distraction. Our hearts become like stones again, asleep, heavy, unmoving. Yet even then, God sleeps within us. And sometimes, in the quiet between two thoughts, in a tear, or in the sunset, or in the stillness of prayer, we feel a stirring. That is the divine moving again, reminding us, "I am here." The path of Tasawwuf, the Sufi way, is the art of awakening that sleeping God within the heart, not by force, not by argument, but by love. The Sufi does not seek knowledge for pride, but for remembrance. He polishes his heart as one would polish a mirror, until it can reflect the light of the beloved without distortion. In the Masnavi, Rumi tells a story of a man who came to the prophet Moses, complaining, "Why does God not reveal himself to me? I pray, I fast, I cry, yet I hear nothing." And Moses answered, "When you are silent, you will hear. When you are still, you will see. For the divine does not shout, he whispers in the heart that has learned to listen." That is why the Sufi path begins with silence. The silence of the tongue, the silence of the ego, the silence of judgment. When you begin to still the noise, you start to feel the vibration of that eternal life moving through everything. The same life that once slept in the stone now breathes in you. And the more you remember, the more awake you become. My friend, you might ask, why did God choose to awaken in man? Why not remain asleep in the stone or dream forever in the plant? Because consciousness is the mirror through which God knows himself. Without awareness, existence is incomplete. The human heart is the eye through which the universe sees itself. The Quran says, "And he taught Adam the names of all things." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:31. That teaching was not about language, it was about recognition. In man, God begins to recognize his own creation. Through our awareness, the divine contemplates his own reflection. That is why awakening is sacred, because in it, God becomes aware of God. But awakening is not the end. It is only the beginning of a deeper unfolding. For once the divine awakens within you, he will not let you rest in half measures. He will call you to burn. The fire of love will test you, purify you, reshape you. The stone within you will melt. The plant within you will wither. The animal within you will tremble. And only the human, the awakened heart, will remain. There were times in my own life, I confess, when I felt that burning too intensely. There was a moment when I thought the path was breaking me, every certainty gone, every comfort stripped away. But in that breaking, I realized something. The stone must crack for the seed to grow. The heart must break for the light to enter. If you too feel this breaking, know that it is not destruction, it is transformation. You are not losing yourself, you are being found. And remember what the Prophet ﷺ said, when Allah loves a servant, he tests him, not to harm him, but to awaken him. Because the soul cannot awaken while it still clings to dreams. So if life has made you weary, if pain has visited your door, do not despair. The divine is stirring within you. He is turning in his sleep, preparing to open his eyes. Let your prayer, your dhikr, your tears, your silence, all become invitations to that awakening. And when the heart begins to glow, do not rush. Let it open naturally like the dawn. The light of God does not arrive in thunder, it rises in stillness. In time, you will see what Ibn Arabi saw, that every being, from the smallest grain of sand to the stars above, is a degree of divine consciousness. Some asleep, some dreaming, some stirring, and some awake. The whole universe is a great body, and you, my friend, are its heart. When you breathe, you are breathing for the stars. When you remember, the stones remember through you. When you awaken, creation awakens with you. When you begin to see that everything in existence is an unfolding of the same divine consciousness, something changes inside you. You can no longer harm a stone because you feel that God sleeps there. You can no longer pluck a flower thoughtlessly because you know he dreams there. You can no longer hate another being because you sense that the same life that stirs in them also breathes in you. This is the awakening that transforms sight into vision and the heart into a sanctuary. Ibn Arabi did not see awakening as an escape from the world, but as a deeper immersion into it. The awakened one does not withdraw from creation. He begins to see creation as the face of the beloved. Every sound becomes a reminder, every meeting a reflection, every loss a message. He no longer divides life into sacred and ordinary, for he has realized that everything is a verse of the same divine poem. There is a story in the Futuhat al-Makkiyah where Ibn Arabi speaks of standing in the desert under the night sky. He looked up and said, "I called out to the stars and said, 'Who are you?' And they answered, 'We are the letters of his name written in light.'" What a vision that is! to look at the stars and see not fire, but words of love written across the sky. That is the sight of an awakened heart. My friend, if you want to awaken, begin by looking differently. Do not seek God in the farthest heavens. Seek Him in the nearest breath. He is in the pulse beneath your skin, in the silence after your prayer, in the tenderness that rises for no reason at all. That tenderness, that sudden ache for something higher, is the divine knocking from within. When you feel it, do not run from it. Let it grow. Sit with it. Talk to it. It is your oldest companion returning to remind you of who you are. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The heart of the believer is the throne of the All-Merciful." Hadith Qudsi. That means the place where God awakens is not the sky, nor the mountain, nor the mosque. It is your own heart. But for Him to awaken there, the heart must be emptied of all that is not Him. You cannot fill a cup that is already full. You cannot awaken while holding tightly to sleep. That is why the Sufi speaks of fana, the annihilation of the self. It is not death, but a returning, the dissolving of the wave back into the ocean. When you release everything that is not truly you, the fears, the pride, the constant I, then what remains is what has never left. The Quran says, "Everything will perish except His face." Surah Al-Qassas 28:88. To awaken is to witness that perishing within yourself, to see that all forms, all identities, all separations are temporary clothes worn by the same eternal being. When the heart reaches this point, love becomes its only language, for love is the vibration of the awakened divine. Love is what moves the stars and brings tears to the eyes of saints. It is the current flowing from the sleeping stone to the conscious man. Do you remember, friend, the first time you loved deeply? The trembling in your chest? The feeling that the world suddenly had meaning? That is a small reflection of divine love. When you truly awaken, that love no longer has an object. It flows toward everything. It loves the sky, the dust, the stranger, the enemy, because it sees only the one. Ibn Arabi wrote that the perfect human, the al-insan al-kamil, is the place where all divine attributes are gathered. He is mercy and justice, strength and tenderness, majesty and beauty all at once. When God awakens fully in man, He awakens as compassion. That is why the Prophet was called a mercy to all worlds. Surah Al-Anbiya 21:107. His life was the living example of what it means when God opens His eyes in the human heart. But friend, do not think this awakening is a final state you reach once and for all. It is a living, breathing process. The heart awakens again and again like dawn after night. Each day brings a new unveiling, a deeper seeing, a subtler tenderness. Sometimes you will feel close, sometimes far. Both are necessary. Even the greatest saints felt moments of distance, but they knew that absence is another face of presence. When the sun sets, it does not die. It is simply illuminating another horizon. So when you feel alone, say to yourself, perhaps He is awakening elsewhere within me. In the Masnawi, there is the story of the reed flute torn from the reed bed and crying with longing. Rumi says, the reed's song is the song of the soul separated from its source. That longing, that yearning, is not a weakness, it is proof of life. The stone cannot yearn, the plant cannot cry, the animal cannot pray. Only man carries the ache of separation, because only man is destined to awaken. So cherish your longing, my friend. It is the proof that God dreams through you still. Let that longing shape your prayer. Let it make you gentle. Let it make you kind. When you walk this path, remember, every act of compassion, every silent remembrance, every moment of gratitude is another step toward that awakening. Do not measure your progress by visions or ecstasy. Measure it by humility, by patience, by how softly you walk upon the earth. The awakened heart does not boast. It bows. It listens. It forgives easily. The prophet said, God does not look at your forms or your wealth, but he looks at your hearts and your deeds. Sahih Muslim. That means awakening is not about becoming special, it is about becoming sincere. There will be times when you feel you have fallen back into sleep. Do not despair. Even sleep is part of awakening. Every night the world sleeps, and yet morning always returns. In the same way, your soul will awaken again and again until the dream of separation is finally over. Remember this truth. You are not walking toward God. You are walking within God. The road, the traveler, and the destination are one. Ibn Arabi once wrote, "He who knows the secret of the circle knows that the beginning and the end are the same." When you awaken, you realize you never truly began, and you will never truly end. You have always been the breath within the breath. In our time, people speak much of consciousness and energy, of awareness and mindfulness. These are beautiful words, but without love, they are empty. The Sufi way is the way of love. Love makes knowledge alive. Love turns awareness into prayer. Love transforms awakening into surrender. If you want to awaken, do not chase experiences. Love God in the smallest things. Love Him in the way water touches your hands. Love Him in the laughter of a child. Love Him in the pain that humbles you. Each act of love is a spark of awakening, because love is the recognition that I and thou are one. The Quran reminds us, we are closer to Him than His jugular vein. That closeness is not metaphorical, it is real. God is closer than your thoughts, closer than your heartbeat. When you awaken, you no longer seek Him, you simply fall silent and feel His nearness. My friend, imagine if the whole world could see this truth. Imagine if humanity remembered that the same divine that sleeps in stone also lives in every human face. There would be no war, no greed, no cruelty, because to harm another would be to harm the very one we worship. That is why awakening is not a private luxury, it is a sacred responsibility. Every awakened heart becomes a lamp in the darkness. Each of us who remembers becomes a doorway for others to remember. This is how God awakens through mankind, not all at once, but through countless hearts lighting one another, like stars across the night sky. And so I say to you, dear listener, if you have felt something stir within you while hearing these words, a softness, a tear, a warmth in your chest, do not dismiss it. That is the stirring of the divine within you. That is the beginning of awakening. Do not rush to explain it. Just let it be. Let it unfold. Perhaps tonight, when you close your eyes, you will feel the same presence that watches the stars and turns the planets. Perhaps tomorrow, when you speak to someone, you will see his reflection in their eyes. That is how awakening spreads, quietly, naturally, through remembrance. So remember often. When you breathe, say his name softly within, Allah, Allah, until the word dissolves into silence and only the feeling remains. That feeling is prayer. That silence is the place where God awakens. And if this journey has touched you, write in the comments, "The divine awakens within me." Let it be your testimony, not to others, but to your own heart. Because when you declare it, you begin to live it. If this path brings you peace, if these words remind you of something ancient and beautiful within yourself, then stay close. Subscribe, not for numbers, but for companionship. Because in this path, none of us walks alone. Each listener, each seeker is a friend on the same road home. And as we close, I want to leave you with a prayer. May the one who sleeps in the stone awaken fully in your heart. May he dream through your kindness, stir through your compassion, and awaken through your love. May every breath you take be a remembrance, and every step you walk be a prayer. And when your time comes to return to him, may you do so not in fear, but in recognition, like a lover going home. Because, my friend, you were never truly apart. You were always the dream of God, learning to awaken. If this journey resonated with you, write in the comments, "The divine awakens within me." And remember, you are not alone on this path. The light that stirs in you stirs in us all.